Why, hello and welcome everybody. It is Pohx again, and today we have
Yoji, hello.
Yoji's going to be guest starring with this video, and he's got a video on his channel that's going to be going up as well, which is going to be the opposite of what we're talking about here. So today we're going to go ahead and go into overused skills in Path of Exile, and kind of why maybe you might take a second thought about this as to why maybe you don't want to play this skill. So we're going to go ahead and start off with Shield Charge. Now, Shield Charge was a new skill that was recently changed. I believe it was this upcoming, like this patch we have now with Prophecy, and they tagged it as an AoE, and you don't have to name lock anymore. So what that means is, before you literally had to right click a target or left click or hit your hotkey, whatever it was, and if you did not hit that target, your skill no dice, 0 damage. And everybody's like, why would I ever use this? Now you have the freedom to basically hit wherever you want as long as you connect with the target. It goes boom and it does an AoE. The one thing with the skill that changed, though, I have a screenshot here to show you guys, is Shield Charge. This is the old Shield Charge. If you look at it, it actually does 404% more damage, and this number will scale upwards even more and more and more if you look at the numeric. So Shield Charge actually used to do more damage, if I am correct, compared to what it does now at its fixed 200% more, but the base damage scales a bit higher. Now, the one thing I don't like about this skill is I honestly feel you could insert any other skill that does damage as an attack, and you will theoretically deal probably more damage with it. Now, the one thing I do like about it, though, is it's great for clear speed, though. But you might want to take a second think. What do you think about that, Yoji, with Shield Charge?
Yeah, I think the great point about it is that once you got the damage to one-shot packs, you basically have a movement skill that also one-shots enemies, which is like what everyone always wants. Like, everyone wants to play a build where you just like clear at move speed, and that's pretty good. But as soon as you don't have the damage to kill a one-shot pack, it starts feeling really awkward, especially for single target when you have to like charge out and charge in again, charge out, charge in again, charge out and charge in again, and just to get your damage, because the damage scales with travel distance. It kind of makes it feel a little bit clunky. I still think it's a really good skill, but it might be a little bit overrated, and people kind of like just look at the awesome AoE clear when they don't look as much at the single target problems and some of the wonkiness that has to it.
Absolutely. It gets so, I think a lot of people love to bandwagon just when a new skill comes out, just regardless of how good or bad it is, everybody just wants to try it again. You're like, oh, maybe it works now, and it does work. So let's go ahead and lead into one of your topics.
Yeah, one of my overrated skills, and kind of like a pet peeve I have, is Blood Rage. I think Blood Rage is a fine skill. It gives you attack speed, gives you a leech for physical builds at least. That's pretty nice, and it grants you frenzy charges. And don't get me wrong, frenzy charges are really nice on almost every build, maybe except for like summoners, trappers. But even trappers get more damage, so everyone gets something out of it. But losing 5% of your health as life, like losing that much regen, basically hogs a portion of your regen. I personally think regen is a really good form of damage mitigation, especially against dots, but just in general, nice to have. And people have, like, this patch kind of caught onto it a bit more with all these lab farming builds going more into regen. So I think it's a really nice form of defense. But yeah, Blood Rage, relying on it is a bit meh, especially if you then want to run no regen maps later on, or run like vulnerability maps. Kind of start feeling it even more and more. So I don't think Blood Rage necessarily needs to be used on every build just as it is right now, and maybe some people should reconsider using it as much. What are your thoughts?
I would totally agree with you. Obviously, we all know Blood Rage is insane if you're able to use it, but more so leading on to lab farming builds, for example. I think this is kind of the sustained meta that we've seen, which we haven't really seen often in Path of Exile, where if you want to do Uber Lab and everything, it's significantly easier to make a build based off sustain. And I think now that people are understanding more of the power of it, they're leading they're moving away from frenzy charges and more into just other raw damage. But another topic I wanna kind of jump into. Well, it's not the same topic, but one thing I hate about Blood Rage is when you're fighting a boss. Blood Rage is a chance on kill to generate a frenzy charge. So you would have to basically throw in a frenzy or something else to keep it going. But I totally agree with you. Like, if your whole build is relying around Blood Rage just for charges, which there's nothing wrong with it, you are going to feel it a little bit later on because, you alk a map and it says vulnerability. And normally just like, shit, that's a damage mod. Well, now it's a damage mod and you're taking, 30% increased damage over time. Or say you run half regen. All these other things you have to kind of add into it. And it does become kind of a hassle later on. Or Abyssus even. Abyssus. A lot of people like Abyssus, right?
Abyssus, actually, yeah. Good point.
Alright, so we're going to go ahead and jump into the next skill here, which is going to be Blade Vortex. I've played this many times in my past, and yes, This skill is insane. It's overpowered. You could do it however you want, but it has a huge downside, and it's a noob trap, because most people don't know this about it. I mean, actually, you do know this about it, you just don't think about it. Blade Vortex is one of the few spells that require you to pretty much be melee range. In pretty much any game you ever play, casters are not meant to be tanks. They're meant to be in the back, and they cast. Blade Vortex doesn't make you tanky, it just makes you go melee. And people often forget that. They're just like, oh, I'm going to play a caster, and I'm going to have this amount of defense, and I'm going to do this. And I'm never going to get hit by a Colossal Bone Stalker because I'm never going to be there. And then all of a sudden with Blade Vortex, you walk into him and... So what do you think about it?
Yeah, I think it's a strong skill. Like no questions asked. It does insane damage. The multi-hitting thing can be abused like to no ends with like on-hit effects and stuff like this. That's really great. But I think so as well. I think a lot of the times Blade Vortex players like die because one thing I think their fate feels so powerful, like nothing can touch them, and just keep running into packs. And at one point there will be that one mob that one-shots you. Yeah, the other thing is that it's just. Also, I think maybe relying on Leech a bit too much as well, because Leech won't prevent you from being one-shot. You will feel like you're always at full HP if you're like Valpacting leeching with Blade Vortex. And you're pretty much unkillable unless you get one-shot, but if you don't have that huge effective life pool through some form of defense, you will get one-shot pretty quickly.
Right, that's very true. It's often, as you said, it's difficult to see how much damage you're taking when you're playing a Volpac build and you don't know how much you're taking, because in a fraction of a second, you can heal 5,000-6,000 health easily as Blade Vortex, depending on how high you jump your numerics up. All right, so what about you, Yoji? What's your last one?
My last one is actually a lot of skills, and those are golems. My main gripe with golems, besides people when I'm streaming always ask me, why are you not using a golem, is that golems are a hassle to keep up for the buffs they provide, which are like numerically not very big. Like you can live without the buff from a golem, and your build will never really rely on it, maybe except for if you like sustaining your mana with like some ED, Mom, ZO stuff and the Stone Golem, which is fine to do. And in that case, I think you will think more about keeping it up. But I think as soon as you're keeping your golem up permanently, basically, and you start forgetting about it being there in a chain map, that can kill you. And I've died to that before, so I'm very careful with golems these days. Because, yeah, I've died to that happening, and I don't think the buff is necessarily all that great. So I don't trust myself keeping the golem up down every time when I run into a chain map. And as a hardcore player, I don't want to die to that, and the bonus is not that great anyways.
I would
what do you think?
I would totally agree with you. I think that golems, they definitely give you something, but is it always worth it? So like myself personally, I play a lot of trappers, and it sucks ass so much where you throw a trap at a boss and the boss is supposed to walk next to you, but he's like, oh, there's a golem over there, let me just go over and one-shot him and walk around the trap. And it's like, great, thanks, that was really fun, thanks so much. So that's my personal beef with him. And even some other things like Rise died to this, where basically his golem was doing his own thing. His golem was just like chilling over in the corner like golems do, giving him his buff, and he was running Orchard. And the Orchard boss targeted the golem, and the Orchard boss is a gigantic devourer, and it shoots this gigantic ball of fire. I'm not exactly sure what the damage is, whether it's pure fire, whatever, that's irrelevant. And he didn't think about it because, the boss is on you, you're not partied with anyone. So he backtracked and ran away and didn't notice the gigantic ball, and boom, 6k dead, one shot. All because of a little golem. Like, sure, it was his fault because he wasn't paying attention, but I would have died to it too. I'd be like, dude, golem, what are you doing, bro? Like, what are you doing, man?
Yep, the golem PK is real. Another thing that I noticed when I played a little bit around with the elementalists, your golems become immune to elemental damage. And if you run maps with these arc witches that like spam arcs at you sometimes, the golem will not die from it, but you will.
Yeah, it's permanent chaining off it, right?
Yeah,
it just continuously
they can
chains.
just permanently chain off it, and yeah, it doesn't take damage, so it will never go away. And another thing people always bring up, by the way, when I mention golems, I don't like golems, just put it on your cast per damage taken. But if you're playing like a range build, for example, I played a bow character as my first character, I don't proc it that much. I don't get hit much, because my positioning is my defense.
That's
I don't
right.
want to get hit all the time. And so my cast per damage taken only goes up every now and then. And even if it goes off, the golem lives for like, I don't know, 30 seconds if he's really lucky. Because they don't have like the smartest AI. Like the little Frost Golem, he always like cartwheels into like devourers and stuff.
He rolls.
He dies so fast. He's like, YOLO!
He goes right into combat. That man, he literally will just, you should see him with like insane turbo haste. He flies off your screen, man. He just cartwheels into oblivion.
Yep.
Alright.
I played the summon haste and stuff. That was pretty funny.
Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Remember, if you want to check out Yoji or see more of his content, you can visit him at
YouTube.com/itsyoji.
And remember, we've got the opposite video of basically underused skills going up, or that's going to be uploaded on his channel as well. And we're going to work more into this collaboration stuff. I'd love to hear you guys' feedback. Obviously, this is a beta thing. I know Skype might have some bad quality. You can see there are some buttons that popped up near Yoji with a disable webcam, microphone, or share screens and end call. We can't end call that. That's a bit rude. But anyway, again, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy, remember you can always visit us live at twitch.tv/Pohx and
twitch.tv/it's Yoji.
there you go. Hope you guys had a wonderful time, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Take care, everybody.
Bye.